He's once again proved that he is the best three-day eventing horseman in the world. But for Todd, it's still not enough.
You want to do that little bit more, prove that little bit more that you can still do it.
You know, it's more than full-time. I mean, it is completely your whole life.
Everybody comes up with this idea that sort of horses are very glamorous, and I don't know where they get it from.
Thanks for joining us. Those stories and more tonight on 2020. What will it take to satisfy Mark Todd that he's really made it? No one else in the horsey set doubts that Todd is the world's top rider, especially since his win at the Badminton Horse Trials last month, 15 years after he first won there. By every standard, Todd has reached the heights in equestrian achievement. But is it enough? Well, apparently not by his standards. Mark, his wife Carolyn and their 2 children return to New Zealand every summer. But for most of the year, their home is England. Bob McNeil caught up with Mark Todd there and found a driven man chasing the ultimate dream.
The Cotswolds, in the heart of England's horse country. Englishmen have ridden horses here for centuries, but for now, it's home to Mark Todd and his wife Carolyn. Since his win at the Badminton Horse Trials last month, he's once again proved that he is the best three-day eventing horseman in the world. But for Todd, it's still not enough.
I didn't really felt that I'd made it until maybe even I'd won my 2nd gold medal. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's probably some sort of competition hunger. I mean, you want to do that little bit more, prove that little bit more that you can still do it. Particularly with the World Championships. You know, I would love to be able to win a World Championships, and then I can say, well, I've won the World Championships, I've won the Olympics, I've won badminton, I've won Burghley. There's nothing more to prove to myself, and then I can probably just relax and enjoy the competition. I'll probably win a lot more, but...
Proving that he's still right up there at the top and preparing for events like the World Championships this month is fitted in around very different circumstances these days.
You gonna walk?
The Todds have expanded and there's a family to consider. 1-year-old James taking his first steps and 5-year-old daughter Lauren off at school.
That was really clever.
And you won't find charisma here. The Wonder Horse is grazing happily back on the farm in Cambridge, and the new lifestyle offers little chance Mark will ever find another horse with the same magic.
Everything we have nowadays is for sale. I mean, we get nice young horses and what have you, and obviously they're always the easiest ones to sell. And so, I mean, our main priority nowadays is you know, to make a living, to keep all this going. And so we've probably let some very good horses go through our hands because of that reason. Do you want to see him do more, jump more, or?
Yeah, come on.
We produce event horses and at a certain point sell them. But basically it's a competition yard. It's a base for me to sort of try and compete at the very best level.
And you're able to make a living as well?
Sometimes.
Is it tough?
It's very tough, actually. You're totally dependent on horses, and things can always go wrong with horses. It's a very expensive pastime over here. Certainly you cannot win enough money to pay for it, so you have to sort of buy and sell horses and do other things to supplement it.
People imagine you're living a glamorous life with the horsey set here.
Well, I don't, everybody comes up with this idea that sort of horses are very glamorous, and I don't know where they get it from. I mean, at the top end of the scale at badminton, that I suppose it can be, the end result can be viewed as a glamour sport, but certainly the day-to-day workings with horses, there's nothing remotely glamorous about it. I'm working horses all day, and if it's not working horses, it's other things to do with the horses. And the girls and the lads that work with the horses, they work long hours for comparatively little reward, and they do it because they love it. And it's certainly not something you get into if you want an easy life.
His stable hands do, however, get the chance to train with Mark. Nick Campbell is trying out for the British Young Rider team.
Down the next long side, do 2 or 3 little serpentine loops. We normally have a couple of students here each year, but they come to sort of train and hopefully improve their riding capabilities. Sit up, yeah. Now don't pull him short. Don't pull him short. Press him up into your hand. Good, well done. That's better.
It's common for the Todd household to be up at dawn, especially on weekends when the entire family accompany Dad to the various horse trials around the country. Mark needs to have his horses constantly in competition. He's seen a lot of the country from behind the wheel of his super-sized float.
It's quite funny. I mean, I originally came over here in 1979 with the idea of sort of spending a few years training and what have you and getting more experience over here, and we've never actually bought a place and sort of settled down here, over here, because we keep sort of thinking, well, next year maybe we'll go back to New Zealand, and this has sort of been an onward thing now for a long time, and it's still carrying on. I mean, we're still not sure when we might go back to New Zealand. Certainly for what we're doing with the horses, Europe, or particularly England, is the best place to be.
This is Tambourine Man Joe Challenge. Very quick round, 2 seconds inside the optimum time.
Every weekend it's a different eventing location. Today it's Western Park Estate, where for centuries they've shot pheasant and ridden the hunt. Now the grounds play host for the dressage, show jumping and cross-country events that have made Mark Todd #1 in the world. His horses are keenly observed.
In 3-day eventing, the horses' lives aren't that long. They can only do 2 major 3-day events a year, and by the time they're ready to do major 3-day events, they've probably only got about 4 years at the top. So, I mean, you're talking about fairly limited time, and just one person's opinion can mean the difference between winning and losing a competition. I'm a competitive sort of person. I don't think it probably matters that, you know, it's 3-day eventing. I think no matter what I did, I'd still be competitive. That's in my nature. My wife tells me I'm very competitive.
I'd met Mark in New Zealand, and, you know, he said he sort of evented full-time. I thought, well, that's a joke, you know, there's no such thing. But when I got over here, I sort of soon realised that it is, you know, it's more than full-time. I mean, it is completely your whole life, and you have to be horsey. You have to understand, I think, what goes on, and I mean, I love horses just as much as Mark, perhaps sometimes more, I think, and it's, you know, it's just in your blood. It's our priority is to be a close family. Like, you know, I've come today to bring the children.
New starter, maybe Wallace.
I still do it because I really enjoy it. There's nothing quite like the feeling you get on a Saturday morning before you go out. You're not nervous because you're frightened, but there's a nervousness because you want to do well, and the heart starts beating faster, the adrenaline starts flowing, and then you get out there and you go around the course, and the feeling when that is all over and when you've actually done it is tremendous. There's nothing else quite like it.
3-day eventing is not where big sponsorship money is. Apart from New Zealand Sports Foundation support, which keeps one horse in training, they have no sponsorship or insurance.
Probably our biggest downfall is the fact that we can't afford to insure our horses. It would bankrupt us if we insured our horses, so we don't. So it's just one of those things that you just hope everything's going to be all right with them. The life we lead is a very sort of, in a lot of ways, very emotional competition. You won't at badminton, but it's a very emotional thing. And I suppose we have you know, we go through quite a lot. And horses is a very volatile sport. You know, you're up one minute and you can be down tomorrow. And you have to just take all that in your stride. You know, you don't have too high hopes. You have ambition, but you don't expect. You just pray a lot.
But they willingly go through it all. Even the disappointments, like missing out on a 3rd Olympic gold at Barcelona in 1992. Because there are always the victories to come.
One left, and he's done it. He has done it in style.
Mark Todd's most recent victory, with New Zealanders Blythe Tate and Vaughan Jeffries in second and third place, not only made badminton history, but highlights once again the magic of the man who makes horse riding a special art.
I guess if I had to say anything, I have a very good affinity with horses. I get on well with horses. I mean, I've had a lot of different horses, and I can understand horses quite well. I also probably have a very good sense of rhythm and balance, which are two very important things in being able to ride well. The rest of it, I would say, is just hard work, training, and luck.
When the vagaries of horses have seen Mark down on his luck, being a New Zealander has been his best encouragement.
There have been occasions where I would say isolated people make fairly derogatory comments. The tall poppy syndrome, that if you're up there, they love to chop you down, and if you're having a bad run, they love to rub it in. Like badminton this year, there was certainly quite a few Kiwis dotted throughout, and you could hear them singing the national anthem when they played it, and it's a great feeling.
New Zealanders are fantastic like that. They really are. You know, there was a bunch of New Zealanders at badminton with sort of, you know, sort of placards and things, and, you know, doing the haka and things. I mean, that's sort of fantastic.
New Zealand will be home eventually for the family, and working with racehorses back in Cambridge is their most likely future. But for now, Mark's still trying to prove something to himself.
You have to set yourself goals. If you don't have a goal to aim for, then you have nothing to aim for. The two things I wanted to do most was, one, to win badminton again, and the other to win a world championship. I've done the first half of it, and so now I'll just have to work very hard and try for the second bit. If I did manage to do that, I don't know what I'd do. I might have to retire on the spot.
So if Mark does win the world champs, with its 2 Olympic gold medals and 2 badmintons already, will that really be enough?
With Sydney getting the Olympic Games, we'd certainly look at moving back to New Zealand and maybe having one last crack at sort of on our back doorstep.
For now, England is providing the means for Mark Todd to keep going, and that keeps New Zealand on top in world horse eventing.
And there's still never any doubt that I'm a New Zealander. You know, we're very much accepted over here, but I'm still a New Zealander to everybody over here, and New Zealand is certainly where we'll end up.
At the World Championships at The Hague in 3 weeks' time, Mark Todd will be riding for New Zealand on Just an Ace, the horse he rode into 5th place at badminton.